Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to episode 99 of our Blackburn Rovers Football Manager 2017 save. We're close to the end, we're almost there, but as we are now Premier League champions, as the 2021-2022 season is finally over and done with, it kind of just feels right to take a look at some of the news for once. So, our total of 93 points is a new record, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's totally taken us to the wrong place. I'm not quite sure what our previous most points in a season was, but to get 93 this season is certainly impressive. I think the highest ever is around 95, which could have been Chelsea at one point. I'm not entirely sure, but we were obviously very close to that, but don't really care in the end as long as we've actually won the Premier League. Unsurprisingly, Mbine Yang has been named Footballer of the Year. Obviously 16 goals, 13 assists. Phenomenal, really. He's been pretty much all season. And funnily enough, he also claims the Players' Player of the Year, so credit where it's due to him. Only 27 years old, and of course we signed him for £21 million from AC Milan 3 seasons ago. And even though last season he was a bit, here and there, didn't really know whether he was coming or going. Injuries were a bit of a problem for him. He's been unbelievable this season. Szczesny wins the Golden Glove Award, keeping a total of 22 clean sheets. That's, of course, a signing we made in the summer to replace Rajkovic, who was leaving. It kind of made sense to, flog Rajkovic for £45 million, £50 million, especially knowing that I could sign Szczesny, who had better attributes. Yes, Szczesny's older, but still, old can sometimes be gold with goalkeepers. When you consider how old Buffon is, you consider Szczesny's 32, and he still has some mental and goalkeeping attributes improving, and the fact that he's a bit of a senior in the squad is obviously also good in terms of helping us focus on our youth. So for me, it was a bit of a no-brainer, really, and glad to see him finish above David De Gea and Jack Butland. As well, unsurprisingly, I've been named as Manager of the Year for the Premier League. Blackburn players have been named in the Players' Team of the Year. Szczesny Varjek is an interesting one. I didn't really expect to see Varjek there at the age of 21, but he has bagged 7 assists this season in the league, which is pretty good. And I guess, the owners opting to pay £25 million for him last season is certainly looking like it could end up being a decent choice, especially given that I had doubts in the player. To be fair, it just seemed like at the time, I could tell he was going to be a good player, but £25 million for, I think he was like 19, yeah, probably 19 at the time, for a 19-year-old right back, seemed a bit weird. But for once, the Venkies have actually made a good decision. Other players, mainly Man United players, Sanchez and Hector Bellerin, from Arsenal, Elenia and Barbosa. Barbosa, wow, he's actually made it in. That's not really surprising given Barbosa's form towards the end of the season, especially after Nyang got injured. Barbosa came in and most certainly did a job. And as we can see, Nyang now wants a new contract, and I think whether we like it or not, it's probably going to end up being something we try and at least negotiate with him, right? On paper, doesn't look that amazing, but it would be a bit harsh to sell him off at this point, regardless of the fact that he's not exactly getting any younger, and a massive part of how we play him up front and a massive part of how his game goes about is through his pace. So it's going to have to be something I'll look to deal with in a sec. But we still have the FA Cup final. Episode 99 is going to be all about the FA Cup final. And on that note, I'll see you guys at Wembley. And in case you don't know, for some strange reason, we are the title holders of the FA Cup. So winning the Premier League, winning the Community Shield. We won the Carling Cup as well, the Community One Cup or the Capital One Cup or whatever it's called nowadays. Now this is a chance. I think we won that cup. I don't even remember what we've won and what we haven't won. I think the only thing we have been knocked out of without winning is the Champions League in the semi-finals. So if we can beat Man City, not only do we retain what's ours, but of course it leaves us with really having won every competition we've been in this season bar the Champions League. So, on that note, I'll see you guys at Wembley in pretty much a matter of seconds. We've done the treble. Now it's time to make it 4. So, Man City, Van Gaal's Man City, ironically, a squad we've struggled against this season. They play some real nice counter-attacking stuff, always pretty solid defensively. It's strange because they play very different to how Van Gaal over the years has kind of set his sides up, but it's worked for him in the game. Obviously, it's not worked for him in a sense that they're not exactly doing phenomenal in the Premier League. They finished 6th, but they still end up in the Europa League, I suppose, which is kind of better than what Man City have been doing on this save in previous years. So, yeah, you've got to give them benefit of the doubt. So, we come into this at Wembley, of course, but slightly different. No standard mentality. We're starting off as if we're playing at home. And the reason for that is because we're going to kick things off with IWBs. Most of Man City's attacks will be as a result of Pulisic, Sané, and the very, very fast Inacio. Sterling's going to be that kind of playmaker, but I'm not really too worried about him, so Douglas won't be told to man-mark him. And that's why I've also opted to go with Rog over Morales, because I think work rate is important when playing against a counter-attacking team like Man City, and the same applies to Kunz, who also has 17 work rate. Gray has been dropped to the bench, which is a shame given that he scored against Liverpool, but I feel like this is Barbosa's time to shine. Regardless of whether we're winning, losing or drawing, it feels like Nyang also deserves at least, half an hour to run around, because I think if Barbosa or Nyang score in this game, they break a top goal scorer record of some sort, but I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head. We can take a look. It actually mentions something in the inbox. Obviously, after I tell the press that Van Gaal is clearly losing the plot, trying to get into his head. So, where is it? Prolific Gabriel Barbosa on the verge of Blackburn history. So, he's netted 21 goals so far. So has Nyang. And the existing record is 22, who could be Jordan... I was going to say it could be Jordan Rhodes, who I think holds it at 19 in real life. But it's actually Yaya Sanogo from our first ever season as part of this career. That is amazing, that. Oh, look at how prolific he was. And then he went on to basically cease to exist. Played in Ligue 1 for a while and drifted away. Yeah, you can't beat my management, I'll tell you that. But without further ado, let's just get the ball rolling, to be honest. FA Cup final. I'm trying to remember who the final last year was actually against, but I can't seem to remember. I think it could have been United, and I think it went to penalties. I could be talking complete rubbish here, by the way. In terms of our starting lineup, obviously Dioniso is playing in goal as well. So, direct balls forward straight away from Man City. Piaka wins the ball back. And that's it, really. That's why I went for your Piakas and your Rogs and your Kunzes. Because of that work rate, they'll help and make sure they put in a shift in terms of tracking back. And talking about Marco Rog, I think he's going to nick the assist. 19th goal of the season for Marco Piaka, which means that he too, if he's not too careful, if he grabs an extra goal or two, could actually find himself in a position where all three of our strikers, in Piaka, Nyang and Barbosa, are basically fighting to beat Yaya Sanogo's most goals in a season Blackburn Rovers record, which would be pretty cool. Will certainly be better than what happened today at Ewood Park after losing 1-0 to Wimbledon, which, let's just say, wasn't pretty. It just seems like, I've got a season ticket, but I've missed some home games from when I was at Gamescom, and I'm going to miss 2 more home games because I'm going on holiday literally tomorrow for 2 weeks. And it almost seems like every time I go to a game, we lose. So I think I'm a really bad omen. I should just stop going to games. But anyway, Barbosa shoots. Oh, I thought that was going to be a goal. That's a really good stop from Butland. And so far, to be honest, we've spent most of this episode chatting to each other. Not really seen much of an impact made from Man City at all. Our game plan going certainly according to plan. But it kind of feels like we need that second goal to kill things off, don't we? We've been a bit dodgy in terms of ending halves recently, but judging by the possession count, I think we're going to be okay.
A few moments later.
Sterling, direct ball forward to Pulisic, and Man City equalise. I knew a highlight right then was going to be too good to be true, and I hate to say it, but it's almost like a repeat of what we've seen a lot recently, where we've completely dominated games. We saw it in the Champions League semi-final. A part of me in that 41st minute wanted to tell them to tighten up, but I'm not quite sure the goalkeeper was doing there, having a bit of a moonwalk. And somehow, Man City, throughout this entire first half, have had one shot on target, and they've scored from it. So yeah, team talk-wise, let's get aggressive. I don't want to change things too much because it doesn't actually feel like we've played poorly, if you get where I'm coming from. We've not really seen much from Matthias Kunz, and obviously Mbai Nyang is looking to break the record himself, and he's not really played much since he kind of got injured not long ago. So it seems fair to give him a run around and just see what happens. Now, before this, the press kind of predicted that the game would potentially go to penalties. Obviously, I want to try and finish it off in 90 minutes. But there we go. Piaka to Rog, who he tried to play in Nyang, but I feel like we could benefit from some width here. I really do. I feel like we're seeing a lot of the ball. We're creating opportunities, but it just kind of seems like we need a little bit more breathing space. Especially with Man City playing the 4-2-3-1. I think going a little bit wider could help us. And we'll do that actually by going to a standard mentality. I'm going to remove some of our instructions as well, just to simplify things. We're playing with a normal defensive line. Well, that's actually a good point. I forgot to discuss what we're doing tactically. Fortunately, we're not really doing too much different. And we're playing with a normal defensive line, obviously because of the fact that Inacho is very pacey himself. But as we can see, Man City are starting to make their way back into this game. So it's probably about time we try to counteract what's going on. So let's seriously now at this point just try and take this game by the scruff of the neck. Morales is going to come on for Rog, freshen things up in midfield. We're going to start to look for the overlap a little bit more. But other than that, we can leave everything the same and see where that takes us. Here we go then. We're picking up a lot of yellow cards, I'll say that. I don't think we have a bit of a bad history when it comes to, you know, getting red cards, getting key players sent off, especially in Champions League semi-finals. 67, 68, 69, 75 all of a sudden, and it feels like this is Andre's time to shine. Barbosa looking nervous. He's not going to be able to get at least that one goal that he needed to try and match Yaya Sanogo's record. But Nyang could more than still do it as we approach the end of the second half. It looks like we've got a highlight though, and it's going to be us. Morales finds Nyang, who gives the ball to Varjek, and it just feels like he had a bit of room there just in front of the goalkeeper where he could have maybe crossed it in. 2 minutes to go on the clock. It looks like we're going to extra time.
A few moments later.
What? I can't even explain that. I don't even know what went wrong there. Can Dioniso make himself a hero? Oh my god, he does! No! Oh. Okay. Oh god. Yeah. No. I don't really know what to say.
I have nothing to say. I'm so sorry, I have nothing to say.
We've kind of just got to throw everyone and everything forward at the moment, it feels. So, yeah. Not really what I wanted. Let's stick a bloody centre-back up front as well. Tell the goalkeeper to... that's the problem. There's like no time, is there? Absolutely no time to even hope that we can change something. Yeah. Let's go with that, I guess. I don't think there's really much more we can do at this point. I don't know what the penalty was for. It's kind of a flashback. What? That looked like it hit the outside netting? I don't even know. But that's kind of a flashback. Yeah, that's going to be the end of the game. Man City have won the FA Cup. They've nicked it from us. But at the end of the day... I mean, it's kind of disappointing because we could have won every competition we were in at one point in the season. But I think when you look back at episode 1, we came into this wanting to retain the Premier League, which we obviously won in the 94-95 season. And regardless of losing out in the Champions League semi-final, regardless of losing the FA Cup final, it kind of hurts a little bit more because we were defending champions, but it is what it is. I think altogether, what we've accomplished so far in the career, you've got to admit, is impressive. And it's obviously not the first cup final we lose. Obviously, I think we lost one to Arsenal last season at one point. Man City lift the FA Cup. Disappointing because, well, there was a record to be broken and it didn't really seem like the strikers we had were interested in trying to break it. And especially given we were 1-0 up within the 3rd minute. But anyways, I think that is going to be it for this episode. It was pretty fast. It was pretty short and snappy. Episode 100 is going to be us basically taking a look at the World Cup, taking a look at the other leagues, and just really trying to round off the season so far. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, I'm not sure I did after losing in that cup final, but it is what it is. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and for episode 99, thanks for watching.